Fat Joe is in some real serious controversy right now. He's getting heavy backlash all across social media from statements he said on the Mav Hoffa podcast. Now, the statements stem from Fat Joe addressing probably the most heated hot topic debate in hip hop right now. And the hot topic debates actually started from a Tariq Nasheed film that he recently released called Microphone Check. Now, in this documentary, Tariq Nasheed would interview people like Lord Jamar and others, and the movie was based on the premise that blacks and blacks only were the original founders of hip hop, and doesn't feel like it's warranted to include the Asians, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans when speaking about the foundation and the genesis of hip hop.
Well, you said that Fat Joe is disrespectful for saying that blacks and Latinos created hip hop 50-50. Did you actually say 50-50?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, that's just not true.
That's not true.
Yeah.
And
shout out to Fat Joe, but yeah. I mean, a lot of Latinos were around, but you can't say 50-50.
Not at all. Not at all. You can't even say 90-10. I mean, they came later.
Before Microphone Check, I just ran with the narrative that the Asians, the Latinos, with the blacks, that we all helped form hip hop from the very conception. Tariq Nasheed is saying that's not true. All right, now, I never believed it was actually 50-50 because I feel like that's a far fetch, right? But I always thought, maybe 70-30, 60-40? Tariq Nasheed is saying it's not even 90-10. Meaning, like, blacks created this shit, like 95% of it, and the Asians and the Latinos can share the 5%. That's what Tariq Nasheed is saying. So, Tariq Nasheed would also say, man, that he believes that people even trying to credit Latinos and Asians for contributing to the conception of hip-hop is a ploy to actually take away credit from black folks and ultimately give Latinos and Asians the full credit for, forming hip-hop and isolating black people.
So what happens is we let people come in and just take the culture and then turn us into guests in the culture, because that's what they're trying to do with the whole Latin situation. They want to go from Latinos were 50-50 to Latinos actually created breakdancing and black folks got it from them. That's where it's going. And that's where a lot of people are like, hey, let's put a timeout on this and back it up and tell the truth.
Tariq Nasheed isn't the only one who's calling out Fat Joe and this traditional narrative that Puerto Ricans, black, and Asians created hip hop. Actual legendary rappers like Lord Jamar, they're also calling it out. Now, Lord Jamar would say that Asians or Puerto Ricans, they had no role whatsoever in creating hip hop, and this was all blacks, down from the beats, down from the lyrics, down to breakdancing. This was all the works of African Americans, foundational black Americans, and Ricans and Asians and any other race had nothing to do with it.
Puerto Ricans, do you feel like they played a part in creating hip hop?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Were they early? Were they the first contributors? Yes. Did they do things to help proliferate hip hop? Yes. Were they, do we have valuable people from the Puerto Rican culture that has contributed? Absolutely. But in the beginning stages of hip hop, in the creation stages of hip hop, this was very much a Black American youth thing that had no outside influences from Puerto Rico or Jamaica or any other type of place that you may name. The influences, if anything, were from down south America. The influences were our parents' music. Like, it had nothing to do with any outside people.
That's where I do get confused, because he did say they were early contributors. Then my question is, how early do you have to be considered one of the founders? Like, if hip-hop was started in 1973, and in 1974, I was adding new elements to it, am I not considered one of the founders? Or is it, like, you had to have been there at the first hip-hop party, or else you ain't one of the founders? Which, listen, I'm open to hearing that out, right? But I guess I just want, like, a clearer definition of what is the founder? Because if new elements were added by these people, let's say in 1974 and 75, then are they not founders? I don't know the answer to that. Y'all let me know in the comments. Now, Lord Jamar went ahead and addressed Fat Joe specifically. He would say that people like Fat Joe claiming that Puerto Ricans were involved in the conception of hip hop, that's just a pipe dream to make themselves feel good.
So why do you think people like Fat Joe and Crazy Legs, they push that narrative? It's like, for me, it's one thing for them to push it, but when you got people like, KRS-One pushing it, yeah, that's crazy, man.
Well, I can definitely understand why people like Fat Joe or Crazy Legs or even a Pete Rock, feel like they would want to push that narrative because that's what they heard. And quite frankly, it'll make you feel good. It makes you feel good. You know what I mean? If you somehow believe that you had a hand in something, but then when you find out otherwise, it could make you kind of salty. And it was nice to go with those myths or those narratives when they were put out there and all of that. But yeah, it's just not real.
Fat Joe has been taking this really tough and to heart. Fat Joe has even went out of his way to block any and everyone with the words FBA in their bio, in their tweets. So if you consider yourself a foundationally Black American and you are repping that hard on Twitter, Fat Joe is blocking you because he considers them the worst of the worst. So Fat Joe will go on a Math Hoffa podcast recently, and he would pretty much explain his disdain and hatred for FBAs. He will call them everything under the sun other than a child of God.
Sometimes I say shit I've been saying for years. And the shit just go, you believe Fat Joe said hip hop was Puerto Rican and black? Whoa! My God, the world changed on me, nigga. I'm like, yo!
No, you know what?
Where you been?
Let's get into that. Because I think people outside of New York, it's hard for them to understand, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Trinidadians, Jamaicans, Guyanese.
First of all, regardless of your opinion on who created hip hop or who was there, I do disagree with them trying to minimize the conversation of it's just people outside of New York. It's people who weren't here. Because that's not true. Right? Because Melly Mel, Grandmaster Caz, like Coke LaRock, they were all part of that documentary saying the Ricans ain't have nothing to do with the conception of hip hop. Right? DJ Hollywood. So it's not just people outside of New York. It's not just casuals. No, it's actual hip hop legends who are giving this opinion too. So I feel like they will have a much better stance if they address it head on, like Fat Joe is about to do. He's about to address it head on, other than just dismissing it as just people outside of New York, because that's not true, because Lord Jamar is from New York. He's a New York legend. Now, Fat Joe will start off by just going blank on FBAs, man. Calling them bro, calling them parasites, all type of stuff, man. Now, what I would say, though, is kind of ironic, though, that Fat Joe is using the N-word actively in this conversation as he speaks on why he belongs in hip-hop.
Let's start by this. Let's start by this.
Each other.
Let's start by this. These rumors were made by radical Black racist. Let's just say that. Okay? It's a group of these guys that don't want to hear Jamaican, don't want to hear Guyanese, they don't want to hear a Black guy that ain't down with them.
Right.
Right? So their job is to criticize anybody who don't look like them or who ain't Black American.
Who are these guys?
You want me to say a name? We're going to give them too much clout.
I mean,
the FBA, Foundational Black Authority, whoever the fuck these broke niggas is. I'm just keeping it a buck. And their shit is to attack everybody on Twitter. You see this nigga who run them? Like, your leader? Yo, man, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. And so they trying to change the narrative. They're not from New York.
Here's when Fat Joe goes back to vintage Fat Joe. See, Fat Joe is now the friendly uncle, and all of us forget that Fat Joe is actually gangster. So Fat Joe begins to address Lord Jamar directly, and he blacks out, bro. He calls Lord Jamar trash, calls him corny, says he's still whacking. Fat Joe went crazy on Lord Jamar. I'll be real. Lord Jamar owes Fat Joe a fade after what Fat Joe just said about Lord Jamar, man. All right? But Fat Joe is going super hard. I can understand it because he is a rapper who isn't too far removed from the conception of hip hop. Because let's say hip hop was started in 1973, Fat Joe probably started dropping like late 80s, early 90s, right? So Fat Joe is somewhat a part of it. So I can understand being that close to it, and then them telling you, "Hey, bro, you not one of the pioneers or the founders of this, right?" But here's what Fat Joe had to say about Lord Jamar and others, bro. He blacked out.
Right.
So they telling a whole nother story. This was whoopity doop wop. This, that, yo, bro. Far as I know, we're at Yankee Stadium right now, and it's hip hop's 50th birthday. And the guy who invented it, Grandmaster Flash, my brother carried his crates. My babysitters made up the, let me hear you say, ho. It's two girls, twins, used to babysit me. They made up, let me hear you say, ho. So they have a big problem, these guys, right? So they're against anybody who ain't with them. So this ain't a popular message. This ain't what everybody's saying. We might be giving them too much light right here is what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
So there's a small minority to get on them Twitters and they running it up. We got a fucking Looney Tune like your man Lord Jamar, who's a fucking Looney Tune.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's a loony bin, right? We just said that the drug of choice is attention. It's this and this and that. They get a guy who, he was a legend. He's brand Nubian.
Right.
And he's the wackest nigga in the crew, to be clear.
Fat Joe, the only white man who can say the N-word that probably and freely, man, without no consequences, man. I know Fat Joe ethnicity is or his nationality is probably Puerto Rican, but come on now, bro. Yo, you can look at Fat Joe and tell, all right, bro. like that's your nationality, man, but your ancestry is clearly European. It's kind of like Canelo Alvarez, who's from Mexico, but his nationality is Mexican, but you can clearly see, his ancestry is European, all right? But do I agree with Fat Joe's comments on Lord Jamar? No. Do I feel like Lord Jamar is doing anything outrageously out of the ordinary to go viral? I don't, bro. I do feel like he is being honest, though, with his opinions when it comes to Puerto Ricans and hip hop, because Lord Jamar is one of those like super pro-black, black Hebrew Israelites dudes, right? No, I think he's a 5%er. So he is one of those people who do put black before anything else. So, I do believe he's being honest and transparent with his opinion. But like, yeah, man, it's just odd, because this conversation could go either ways, and I'm not well informed enough to give an actual opinion on who I think are the founders of hip hop. Do I put Puerto Ricans and Asians into it, bro? I'm not well informed enough, man. So I'm gonna leave it to you guys, the real hip hop heads, man. In the comment section, let me know. Do you guys feel like the Puerto Ricans have to be given a seat at the table when discussing the founders of hip hop? Let me know, right? And if you're still watching, click on this video right here somewhere on my screen to find out how Fresh absolutely exposes and destroys Myron mid-debate during their podcast. Click on this video here to find out what I'm talking about. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.